It's the most wonderful time of the week. It's Friday! It's Friday. That means it's Ravings and Reviews Day.
Yes. All right. Very good. Very good.
Welcome, everybody, to Ravings and Reviews, the movie review podcast. My name is Lauren Werscher.
And I'm Jack Kluth.
And this week, for our kind of festive review, we will be reviewing Die Hard.
Yes.
So there is constant debate over this movie and whether or not it's a Christmas movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I you know my feelings about this, considering I was the one who recommended this film for this week.
Yeah.
But do you believe it's a Christmas movie?
I am passionately of the belief that it is a Christmas movie.
Okay.
I will get into a full-blown argument with people that don't think that it's a Christmas movie. My girlfriend had the audacity a couple years ago to say it's not a Christmas movie, and she hadn't even seen it.
What?
And she's like, it's called Die Hard. It's not a Christmas movie.
Okay,
but,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the impression most people get when they see the movie Die Hard.
Yeah.
And, like, there's not a lot of, like, Christmas stuff in the promotional material, so you really have to, like, see the movie to be able to classify it as a Christmas movie.
I've got a whole shamble about why this is a Christmas movie and what isn't, but...
We'll spare you that just for time,
yeah.
so...
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump right into this. So Die Hard was released in 1988. It was directed by John McTiernan, produced by Lawrence Gordon, the one with 2 feet, not the one with 1 foot, and Joel Silver, written by Jeb Stewart and Stephen A. D'Souza, and stars the likes of Bruce Willis, Bonnie Bedelia, and Alan Rickman, amongst many others.
Yeah.
So there are some pretty big names in this one. I mean, namely Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman, which this is both of their basically like film debuts.
Is it really?
Yeah, this. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that this movie was Alan Rickman's film debut, and while it wasn't necessarily Bruce Willis's like screen, like the first time he's ever been on a screen.
Right.
Before this, he was mostly known for like TV and comedies. Like there was a comedy show called Moonlighting that he starred in. Okay. But this was the one that jump started. I mixed like jump and kickstart. That like jump started his acting career in movies.
Okay, got you. Well, and this is debatably his most iconic role of all time.
Yeah. And it's his favorite. He says it's
really?
He says it's his favorite role that he's ever played.
Nice.
As it should be, because this movie's awesome.
It is. Yeah, Bruce Willis he's actually, now that I think about it more, he's had a lot of good roles, but this is easily his most iconic of all time. He's been in Wes Anderson movies, and he was in The Sixth Sense, and he's really good in those, and he's also standout performances in those. But I don't think that anybody kind of like looks at Bruce Willis and goes, oh, he's the sheriff from Moonrise Kingdom. No, you look at Bruce Willis and you go, that's John McClane. That's Mr. Die Hard right there.
Yeah, this movie is very iconic for a number of reasons. What were your first thoughts on it? I kind of just jumped into it. So do you want to kind of share your thoughts on the movie first?
Yeah. So a little backstory. I know I've told you this before.
Yes, yeah, you have.
So the first time that I ever saw this movie, I was like deathly ill. I mean, I was really, really sick. And it was like on Christmas Day. I had like 105-degree fever. My parents were freaking out. And at 105 degrees, I was like shivering. I was like, oh my gosh, I need more blankets. I'm so cold. So my parents were really worried. I was nauseous. I had a sore throat. I was burning up. And the only thing that my parents kept me company, obviously, but my entertainment during this horrible period of time was just Die Hard. They had on like maybe Fox or TNT or some sort of TV channel. They just had Die Hard on all day long. And not only was on loop, and not only was I too sick to even change the channel, but I didn't want to change the channel because I had such a fun time watching Die Hard over and over and over. And even though I watched it probably like 5 times that day, I was just as excited every single time it re-looped around. So quite a hell of a first impression.
Yeah.
But it was a good one. It was a very good one.
Yeah, and I mean, you said it looped. You watched it like 5 times. That's this movie's a long one.
It is.
It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah. No.
So
it was all day. It was just all day.
You were laid up for a while with just suffering. 105?
Yeah, no, it was 105.
Oh my God.
My mom was thinking if it doesn't go down, we need to take him to the hospital right now. But
goodness
I took
gracious.
a freezing shower and I was just miserable. I had washcloths under my armpits for 2 hours, but it went back down, and now it's a bit of a funny story.
So shout out to Bruce Willis for keeping you company while
Yes.
you were just completely ill.
Yeah, man, I was laid up. But no, this movie kept me company, and what a great movie. I really loved it from the first time that I saw it.
Yeah, I agree with you. This movie is very, very good. And I like it. I know we talked about during Baby Driver about kind of its mixture of themes and mixture of genres.
Mm-hmm.
While this movie doesn't have a whole lot of that, it has definitely multiple elements from different genres. It's got a whole lot of action.
Yeah.
It's an action movie, but it's also got some elements of comedy, drama, suspense.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah, it's a pretty good, well-rounded action movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is an action movie first and foremost, but it's never so grim or so intense that you're not enjoying yourself, because you got John McClane making funny quips and taking down bad guys, and you've got Alan Rickman, who is the worst bad guy, and even he is still able to bring granted, it's a bit of a nervous smile.
Oh, yeah.
But he's still able to bring a smile to your face with his just kinetic performance. Is that the right word? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Alan Rickman just always plays stellar villains.
Yeah, he absolutely killed it with this. So, yeah, you're absolutely right, even though it is mostly an action movie with a lot of drama and suspense, but you also got some heartfelt moments, and there's a lot of little quips and comedy to kind of lighten the mood a little bit.
Yeah.
I specifically laugh the most during any scenes that involve the police officers or the FBI.
Yes, the police officers and the FBI scenes are great.
Yeah.
They are so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so much to get into with this movie. That I mentioned kind of its good uses of tension and suspense in a way that it keeps you on edge, but it's not too over the top, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then same thing with the comedy. Like you said, John McClane has a bunch of funny little quips in this movie, like the iconic one, "Yippee-ki-yay, MF."
Yeah, yeah. Or when he kills his first bad guy, he sends him down in an elevator.
Yeah.
With a message on his shirt that says, "Now I've got a machine gun. Ho ho ho."
With the Santa hat.
Yeah, just brilliant. And it's
we said this is a Christmas movie.
Right.
It's a Christmas movie.
Oh yeah, it's a Christmas movie through and through. For sure.
There are Christmas songs in the soundtrack, in the score of this movie.
Yeah, and you got some of the bad guys are walking down the hallway with a giant machine gun, whistling, walking in a winter wonderland or something.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, this movie gets closed out with "Let It Snow."
Yeah, and there's banknotes falling from the sky that looks like snow, because they're in California. They don't got none of that. But yeah, they make it up with banknotes.
They make up snow with banknotes. Yeah, Bruce Willis really shines in this movie. He's definitely one of my favorite parts, and he does a heck of a lot of stunt work too. Mm-hmm. There's so many cool stuff. I mean, it's an action movie. Obviously, there's going to be stunts. Yeah. But he does so much in this movie that I feel I could never do in my real life ever. He's a police officer,
right?
And obviously he's been trained to be in more athletic situations, but he's jumping down elevator shafts. He's clinging, he's crawling through air ducts.
Yeah.
And oh goodness.
Yeah, no, he's jacked.
He's absolutely jacked. Yeah. This was early. Like we said, it's early Bruce Willis. He still had hair.
Yeah, he still had all his
jacked.
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Alan Rickman looks good in this movie too. He looks he's much younger. Not to say that older Alan Rickman doesn't look worse, but
When I first saw this movie, my mom came downstairs and she was like, "Oh, that's the guy that plays Snape from Harry Potter."
yeah.
And my mind was like blown, and I didn't make that connection at all when I watched this movie for the first time. And, like, I just didn't see it. Now I see it, obviously,
Yeah.
but I didn't. I was like, oh, I don't know who this actor is, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, yeah, it is Snape.
Yeah.
But when I watched it today, I was watching it with somebody else, and they go, "Oh, that's the guy that plays Snape." Like right when he came in, like first scene.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little mad that I wasn't able to clock that right off the bat. Like I feel dumb now.
It's not as evident with his presence in the movie. Like he doesn't look like Snape from the old movies. Like he's got facial hair, and he obviously, like we said, he's a lot younger. But it's in his voice. Alan Rickman has a very, very distinguishable voice that you could, and even in this movie, he had a German accent, but I could still pick out the how droll his tone is.
Yeah, he's got this slippery kind of suave, droll way of talking, and it's absolutely great. Every other bad guy in this movie is just whoa, I'm a henchman and I'm tough.
You're just yelling random German phrases.
Actually, I should say there is Theo,
Theo's
the
cool.
hacker,
I love
and
Theo.
he's spitting out quips and jumping around all over the place, being funny. So there is Theo, but then most of the other henchmen are oh, I'm tough German guy. But then Alan Rickman is he's also a tough German guy, but he's got this suave aspect to him. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Alan Rickman. You're a very great actor. I mean, how long? I think he passed away in 2012, 2011.
I don't know. I remember it was enough that my mom I remember my mom saying something about it, oh, Alan Rickman died, and I was like, who's that? And she's like, Snape, and I'm like, oh.
Snape is oh, he died in 2016.
Okay, yeah.
I was wrong about that. Apologies, but yeah, this movie's got a star-studded cast. It's got a lot of action.
I know it's a little early on, but I mean, we're talking about action. This is the quintessential action movie, I would dare to say. What is your favorite set piece or moment of action in this movie?
Ooh, that's really tough. I mean, when you say that, my mind immediately goes to the iconic shot of him completely laid down in the air duct where he's got his lighter on.
Yeah.
The one that's used in every promotional picture for this movie ever.
Right.
But I think I've got to say my favorite scene or piece of scenery is whenever they were in the what do they call it? The diorama room? The miniature models. Yeah, the miniature model. Yeah, the main boss guy's room, where he has all the models and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I gotta say, nothing beats when he pushes that little desk chair with a computer taped to it and the C4 inside of it, and just lights up the entire building.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That might not be
cool.
action as much per se, but it is just the best moment of just pure raw destruction, and my the caveman part of me really likes that.
It is a hell of an explosion.
It's so awesome.
Just has a bunch of C4 strapped to an office chair and shoves it down an elevator shaft, and it just boom.
Which is really smart that they did that, actually, because now that I'm just talking about it and walking it through, it's really smart that they did that. You see how big that explosion is with just one stick of C4. So when he goes to the top of the building and he sees all the bricks of C4 that they've laid down at the top, it helps to emphasize in your brain how destructive this is going to be.
Yeah.
Because you've already seen what one can do. So you see all of these and your mind is just oh my God, this is going to be bad.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. And I mean, it doesn't end totally bad, but
No.
there are there's a lot of, this building is destroyed by the end of this movie. Good God, it is just complete wreckage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably not one pane of glass still intact by the end of this movie.
Oh, goodness, no.
So much glass is blown out of its frame in this movie.
I like that you brought up the scenery or the set, because the setting of this movie is super super cool. Like, it is mostly set in this one skyscraper building in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Like, the only time it ever really deviates from that setting is, like, the very beginning where they're, like, establishing, like, who these characters are and, like, how they get there. But pretty much, like, 95, like, I would be, like 97% of this movie is set in that building.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure. Absolutely.
And even though it, like, goes between a bunch of floors, because there's a ton of floors in this building. It's super tall. But even then, like, you can still kind of follow the action because it's so condensed to that one area.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. And the set pieces are all, like, made so well that, like, you're never like too confused about, like, where they're at or, like, what they're doing. They're like, oh, this is the elevator shaft. Okay, this is the ducts. Okay, this is the roof and the compartment that goes underneath of it. And I was watching, I was like, you know, they had to make every single one of these, like, sets. And a lot of them are just, like, mechanical rooms and stuff. So they had to make a lot of them. And shoot it all coherently enough so that you're never like, wait a minute, how did this person get here? I thought they were over here. Or where are we now? I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, because that happens with a lot of action movies. Like, there's so many different areas where people can go, and then you're just completely lost. You're like, wait, I thought this person was over here. Why are they over here now? This movie doesn't have that at all.
No, and basically every setting in this movie that you see, there is some sort of, like, brawl or shootout that goes down. The lobby, all the way to the rooftop, all the mechanical rooms end up having, like, a fist fight or a shootout. The elevator shaft, you know, he drops a bomb down there.
Yeah.
The stairwell, he, like, knocks somebody down the stairs.
Yeah.
Like, every part of this building is utilized for both action and then for building tension.
Yeah, even in, like, the parking garage, there's
even
like,
in the
there's
parking
carnage.
garage. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
I mean, I almost sometimes forget that this movie was made in, like, 1988. Because there's a lot of, like, cool technology and, like, stuff that they use. Like the building looks gorgeous. The interior of the building, obviously before it gets blown up and taken over by terrorists.
Yeah.
It all looks amazing. Like, it all looks beautiful.
It's aged very, very well. I'm never watching it and I'm like, this is like a dumb action movie from the 80s. It's like, oh no, that like never bothers me. Except for at the very beginning, you see some, like, computers that they're using, and they're like, "Oh, this is so fancy," but it's like literally like a tube TV stuck inside of a desk.
It's like a tube TV with, like, a touch screen.
Yeah.
And granted, that's us talking from 2020,
right?
Not 1988, because, like, I'm pretty sure technology like that in 1988 was like, whoa, mind blowing.
Right. It's not even that it looks bad. It's just that, like, the characters' reactions to it are kind of funny because it's like, bro, I got one of these in my pocket. Yeah, that's even smaller.
Like, literally almost everybody has one of these in their pocket.
Yeah.
And it does way more than look for your wife's name, like, and what floor she's on.
Right. Yeah, but that would be an unfair thing to strike the movie for. So yeah.
Well, I've got no more notes on anything really general that doesn't really go into plot. What about you? Do you have anything else you want to say before we take a quick break?
There's some really, really cool stuff that they do with the music in this movie.
Yeah, we completely forgot to talk about the music. Oh my God.
So not only are there, like, great Christmas songs laid throughout the movie, and whether it's over a radio or on the TV or a German terrorist whistling it in the hallway, there's plenty of Christmas music. But the other main theme that they use is Ode to Joy.
Yes.
It is iconic when it explodes. It hits its climax when they open up the safe. They open up the vault. And there's like light comes out, and there's this little bit of, like, wind that you can see blowing Alan Rickman's hair. It's just, like, so glorious. And Ode to Joy is just pounding in the background. But something really cool that I noticed is that when the bad guys are breaking in, and, like, laying all the traps and the puzzle pieces of the movie are being set up, they play Ode to Joy throughout the movie when the bad guys are on the screen. They just play it at, like, a really low pitch and, like, slowed down. So you get these really, like, lovely low cello notes playing Ode to Joy. And if you listen to it, I didn't pick this up on my first viewing at all. But if you listen, you can hear it. And so it's like this theme that the bad guys have, or this little, like, I can't think of the right word for it.
Motif?
Motif, that's it, yeah. And there's even a part that I don't think I remembered until I watched this movie again. Alan Rickman is walking around like whistling Ode to Joy or like humming it under his breath. So that's a really cool way of keeping that incorporated and having like a theme set up for the bad guys.
Is that the one that he hums in the elevator with Takagi?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure, because like he hums something really, really loud in that scene, and I was like, oh, I know this, but then I forget that it's called Ode to Joy. But yeah, now that you mention it, I do remember hearing like those like low notes and how it's you can't really detect that it's Ode to Joy,
right?
But like it's still there, and they're using it as that kind of motif.
And that's a very like subtle piece of filmmaking that really makes this movie stand out and make it such a good action movie. They don't just have a bland action score. They've got this motif for the bad guys, and it helps to like emphasize like this kind of like more refined element to them that like a common crook wouldn't have, but they've got this like operatic little motif to accompany them, so it's like it helps to like subconsciously emphasize that these aren't just like your normal petty crooks. These are like real professional bad guys. So they use that, and then another thing that they use, which to fall in line with that kind of Christmas theme, is they've got these like jingle bells that are in the background.
Did you notice the jingle bells too?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so it fits within the theme of Christmas, but the way they use it isn't like distracting or annoying. It fits very well with the scenes that they're filming. It's got kind of this hectic tone to it. So the music is very well done. It might not be something that like, oh yeah, I got the vinyl for Die Hard, but it's like it really makes it stand out from a lot of other action movies that come out. Yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah, the score is definitely a huge part of this. I mean, we talk about music so much on this podcast. It is always a huge part of the movie. I was looking up who did the music. Michael Kamen, who did the music for this movie. Okay. So wonderful job, sir. This was amazing.
Yeah, we got to stop recommending movies with good music.
I know.
I'll stop talking about it.
So do you have anything else, or should we hit a break and then we'll come back and do some more plot stuff?
Yeah, let's cut to a quick break and we can come back.
Sounds good. Stay tuned. We will be right back. All right, we're back. And it's time to get into the thick of it, the thick of Die Hard. So this is where normally we put our spoiler warning for these movies that we review. So if you have not yet seen this movie, we are basically going to be spoiling most, if not all, of the entire plot.
If you haven't seen this movie, just watch Sci-Fi over Christmas. It'll probably have it running all day long.
Yeah, there you go. Like normally, TV stations will have this movie running alongside its other Christmas movie rotation.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you know it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
they don't play it in the summertime.
There you go. Okay, so we kind of skipped over like going over the basic plot of this movie and kind of just like jumped into everything else.
We did a little bit, yeah.
So the basic premise of this movie is that this man, John McClane, who lives in New York, as he's a cop in New York, and his wife works in Los Angeles.
Yep.
So I'm not sure what happened. Like their relationship was kind of like I never picked up on like the reasons why.
So she got a much better job in San Francisco or Los Angeles, and she's like, okay, I've got a much better job, I've got a lot more opportunities, so we're gonna move here. And he's like, he kind of had the idea that like, okay, well, I don't want to move, number one, and this probably isn't going to work out for her, but then it did work out really well for her. And so now they're going through like they're like on the brink of divorce. She changes her last name, and yeah, she has the kids, and their relationship is tenuous, to say the least.
Tenuous, but like it's still sort of there. I mean, she does like say that she misses her husband, and like she wants him there as much as it frustrates her that he's decided to stay in New York.
Yeah, they both care for each other, for sure. Yeah, and they just kind of want different things.
Yeah.
Bit of a Marriage Story situation going on. Oh, I suppose this came out before Marriage Story. I guess is this a trope?
I mean,
wife living in Los Angeles, husband living in New York. I mean, this is
it's an interesting one. I mean, there's definitely like ways that could work and ways that you could tell a story with that.
Yeah,
I mean, Die Hard being one of them. But
yeah. Well, and Marriage Story did like the exact same thing, where like the wife and the kids were in Los Angeles, and the husband who had his whole life in New York and didn't want to leave. So
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, well, whatever. So, this business or this what would you call it? Like what would you say that Holly works for? His wife's name is Holly.
She works for a business called Nagatami.
Naga. Wait. Oh shoot. Neither of us like wrote it down.
Nagatomi.
Nagatomi. Yes, yeah. That's the building that she works in.
Yeah, and that's the name of the business. And it's honestly really not quite clear what the business is. It's just making sales.
Yeah.
Nothing really much more than that is really given away. I assume it has something to do with like real estate or maybe something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like talk about like property development and the little models like we were talking about. So yeah, some sort of development firm or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and this business is run by a Japanese man named Takagi, and he's kind of like the head of everything, and he's the boss basically. So the when we were talking about the scenery earlier, most of the decorations in the building are traditionally Japanese, and like there's a big pool in their like big meeting ballroom thing.
Yeah.
So that ballroom looked really cool.
Yeah, it did. I want to go to that party.
Yeah, I would have totally have loved to have gone to that party. I mean, I could go without the terrorists, but
yeah. And that's what John McClane is doing. He's meeting his wife on the eve of that party. Basically they're
having a Christmas party.
They're having
an office Christmas party.
Yeah, and they're kind of trying to figure out like, where are we at? Like, are you going to stay with me at the wife's place, or are you going to like stay with somebody else? And that's about all they're able to get into before stuff hits the fan.
Yeah, before stuff hits the fan. Very much.
Yeah.
I mean, the terrorists get in with like remarkable ease.
Oh, yeah.
Like they literally just walk through the door, shoot the guy at the front desk, and then just go from there.
Yeah.
Like there's like no security. And even though like we see that the building has like fortified security, but it doesn't get used when the terrorists come in.
Well, something interesting that I realized while I was watching this movie is I was like, oh my God, this movie is pre 9/11, and you can tell.
Oh yeah.
John McClane is obviously flying on a plane from New York to Los Angeles, and the guy he's talking to, John McClane stands up, and the guy sees that he's got a gun in his jacket, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it, I'm a cop." But so I wrote on my notes like pre 9/11 airports be wildin', because they're just
he lights a cigarette by the baggage claim.
Yeah, he lights a cigarette. He's got a gun on the plane, and I suppose you could make the same argument here that pre 9/11, security in a lot of different areas of society might have been a bit more lax.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. They get in with like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing.
And then they keep everybody in. That's the biggest thing. The reason why everything is set in this one building is that the terrorists lock up the building to make sure that nobody gets in and nobody gets out. So
yeah, you kind of can't make a movie like in this exact same way now because of technology.
Yeah, basically.
If everybody had cell phones or something, I mean, this movie would be like extremely different. Than how the order of events plays out, because I mean, they use computers for like hacking into the vault, but I mean, that's kind of like they use walkie-talkies to communicate to people, and then they've got, like corded phones. So like if John McClane had a cell phone or something, or the hostages did, and this would be a completely different story.
Yeah.
They'd probably fly a drone in through the front door or something. So.
Yeah, if John McClane had a cell phone, this would have been like a 45-minute movie.
Right.
Like it would have there would have been like all the build up, like 3 seconds of action and then credits.
Yeah, so this is certainly like, I want to say a product of its time, but that sounds either like an insult or like the movie is like dated, and that's not what I mean. But it's a movie that like with today's like conveniences, you wouldn't be able to make this same kind of plot unless you set it in this particular time period.
Yeah, if I may quote the way this was deemed by the literal United States Library of Congress, it was deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant.
Oh, there we go.
So,
wow.
yeah, like you say, it's a product of its time, but that's not meant as an insult.
Yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. I was really, because like these terrorists break in and there is a lot of bloodshed in this movie. Not in the same way of like super gory like we were talking about with Saw, but definitely a lot of blood, a lot of death.
They've got great squibs. They've got great
squibs,
blood squibs in this movie.
Yeah, geez, like when we're the big like room where there's all the
models and stuff.
The models and stuff, yeah, the one that I was talking about earlier. That is the room in which Takagi dies.
Yeah.
And I was so upset. I love Takagi. I mean,
yeah.
he didn't have like much characterization because he gets killed off like 40 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
But like all the interactions that he had with John McClane and with Holly were just so sweet. Like he seemed like such a good boss.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That it's like said he has 5 kids.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
oh,
it's the movie lets you know early on that these terrorists, they mean business.
Yeah, they mean business.
They're getting stuff done. And yeah, Takagi wasn't exactly helping them at all.
No.
So
I mean, even though he says like he's like, I can't do it. Like you're not gonna break in. There's like 8 different seals on this one lock. You're not gonna get in with just my simple code.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, never mind. Boom.
Something interesting that I again, I've seen this movie so many times, but I didn't really think about this until I watched it this time. So you're right. They get into the building with remarkable ease. Partially because they, didn't have the best security, but also because they have studied this building. They know where everything is inside and out. And they also know everything about Takagi as well. They know, where he grew up.
Yeah.
They know, the schools and stuff that he went for. They know all about his business history. And so when they come into the building, they're like, where is Mr. Takagi? And Alan Rickman's walking around like, oh, you grew up in wherever, you came to the United States, and you got a scholarship. And I was like, they know all this stuff about him, but they don't know what he looks like.
You're right. You're like, why would they not know what he looks like when they could probably list off his social security number or something. They don't know what he looks like.
Yeah, maybe they're just really racist because they're basically eyeing up everybody
they were eyeing up every single Japanese
Asian
man in
descent.
the room.
Yeah. So maybe they're just really, really racist.
Yeah, maybe.
But I thought that was very funny that I noticed it this time. I'm like, you guys, you couldn't find a picture of the man?
Well, I mean, here's the thing though. Like we were talking about, this is before the internet. This is before the internet. They probably couldn't have just looked up a picture of him or had a file or anything like that.
I guess, but when you can find out that much other information, it makes me think that finding a photo wouldn't be too difficult.
That's true, but it also brings up another point that I really, really liked about this movie that added a level of drama and interestingness to this movie. That's not a word, but you know what? I'm making it a
Intrigue.
word. Intrigue. There you go. Thank you. The fact that most of their communication, between the police and between John and between the terrorists, is all by radio.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what they look like. John doesn't know what. Hans, yeah, doesn't know what Hans looks like. He doesn't know who the cop, what the cop who's helping him looks like, and they don't find out these details until they finally run into each other in person.
Yeah,
and that was definitely when they had that reveal of them standing by the elevator, Hans and John together, and then they both light a cigarette and as if because he doesn't know that he's talking to literally Hans Gruber, Hans Gruber, the man who he's been trying to catch this whole time,
right, the leader,
and he's giving him a cigarette like they're old friends. So there were so many different levels of intrigue and so many different little things that happened, little motifs and stuff, and in a normal sense that many reoccurring things would seem tacky. That many things you're oh, you see it here, but you gotta remember it for later. That would seem tacky, but it's not in this movie. For some reason, for me, all of it works. Even down to the watch that his wife is wearing at the very end, when Hans is holding onto Holly's wrist, about to fall off the building. And they like teased like her wristwatch at the beginning of the movie from this scumbag of a employee.
That's actually what I called him in my notes.
Really,
Yeah.
a scumbag? Yeah, he's a scumbag.
Yeah,
like
Ellis.
He sold out. He sold out John. He really thought he was top dog. But then he pushed the envelope too far.
Yeah.
But he gives Holly this like wristwatch because he's like, you don't need your husband. I can provide for you. Like he's like, you could cheat on him with me. But Holly's like, no, you're gross. Go away.
Yeah. No, yeah. There are times in movies where I'm like, you guys, you have to set up your callbacks way better than this. I'll see something in a movie and a character will mention something super specific and it kind of doesn't relate to anything. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's going to come back later in the movie to be important. And of course, in worse movies it is. But this one, I didn't really see it like that. Like the wristwatch, like it makes sense within the context of the scene and it gives characterization. And it's not just there to set up something later on. It's also, it plays a role in the movie that's not so like just straight.
It doesn't exist.
Just transparent.
It doesn't exist just to be a callback. It like exists for a different purpose.
Right. And so when you get to the end of the movie, you're like, oh, that's the watch they were talking about. Oh, that's what's going to happen. So they call back to things they set up very well in this movie.
Yeah. We talked about that guy, Ellis, who sucks. But the news reporter guys also suck.
Yeah, he's really bad.
He's really bad. He goes to their house and like gets in and like decides it's a good idea for press purposes because like basically as soon as the police get involved in this, it's all being broadcast. Like they call in the FBI, they call in like everything. And this news guy decides that like this is his story. This is like I was the one who investigated this. I am gonna be the one to report it all.
Yeah.
And he decides to go to Holly's house that has her 2 kids and her older housekeeper.
Yeah.
And basically like gets the kids to interviews the kids in the most like distasteful way possible.
Yeah.
So distasteful in the way that I felt no sympathy when Holly sucker punched him at the end of the movie. He deserved it.
Well, after everything else in the movie too, that's a pretty light getaway. It's just a slap after we just watched a whole building explode and multiple people get shot.
Yeah. And I have a feeling if John hadn't been so like lost so much blood, he might have punched him too. But
yeah.
I love the cop that was helping him out too. I forget his name.
Al is he's another really good part of this movie.
Yeah.
The relationship between John and Al as they talk over the radio, they kind of develop this bond with each other. This kind of like, I don't know, like, oh, we're best buds now.
Yeah, like
by the end of the
kinship,
movie. Yeah, they really connect with each other and they help each other out over the course of the movie. And that's really nice to see play out.
Yeah, and like I said, those two, like, they don't know what the other looks like until the very end when they meet up for the first time.
Yeah.
So it's done so well that I'm like, it's so notable and remarkable.
Yeah, and it's very sweet at the end when they finally meet up at the end. Yeah, and then they kind of they're there to like give each other moral support, and they also like learn more about both of their characters over the course of their little radio conversation too. So yeah, it's not just there for like comedic purposes. It's like a genuine thing to kind of give some characterization to people both on the outside and on the inside. Yeah, and it helps to have that genuine character in the police force because everyone else is just the dumbest block of wood.
Yeah. Even the 2 FBI agents, like the ones that are supposed to be helping everything, are like just they're dumb as bricks.
Yeah. It is bad. So whoever wrote this movie was not fond of the LAPD.
No. Or just wanted stupid cops for the plot, which I can totally agree with as well.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me, but at the same time, it is like you wrote these guys really dumb.
It's hilarious.
It actually, my dad finds it funny, but at the same time, I also think it pisses him off because there are lines that the cops say that are so dumb.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous.
Yeah,
like John had thrown a dead body of one of the terrorists onto Al's car to get his attention and to let him know the seriousness of the situation. And when the chief of police shows up and Al's like, what about the dead body that got thrown on my car? He's like, oh, it was probably just some stockbroker that got depressed.
I know.
It's like, holy, all right, man. Like, I am not, like, offended if you're going to say that, you know, certain people on the force are dumb. But, like, no one is this dumb,
Yeah,
man.
jeez.
It is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you almost find yourself like yelling at the screen. You're like, no, you have to do this. Like, why are you proposing this when you have to do the other thing? And that's obviously because like we are like the omniscient beings looking down at this situation,
Right,
and like we
yeah.
know everything, but they don't know everything.
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
some of the dialogue they have is like it's just dumb.
Well, and when John radios to the police station the first time he gets a radio, he goes up to the top of the building and he sends out this signal to the emergency frequency so that the police can hear it. And he's like, you know, please, someone come help me. There's terrorists. They've got 30 hostages and they're shooting people. And then the terrorists get up on the roof and start shooting at him. And like the person at the operating table, like, has to take her headphone off because the gunshots are so loud.
She can literally hear the gunshots.
And they're like, send a black and white over there to investigate. Like, everyone on the force in this movie is dumb.
Yeah, except for
Al. Yeah.
Al is very nice. Al is a good character.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of other notable characters that are like other than obviously the ones in the building. Oh, Argyle.
Yes,
The limo
Argyle.
driver. I love Argyle so much.
Yeah, you know, yeah, I was talking about comedic relief with Al, but no, yeah, Argyle's the comedic relief in this movie for sure, and he's awesome.
Yeah, he gets like a good like a relatively nice conversation in with John at the very beginning of the movie, and then he just kind of hangs out in the parking garage of the building for the whole movie.
Yeah, drinking champagne with the teddy bear.
Yeah, drinking champagne with the teddy bear. That was another really funny beat in this movie where like he's on the roof and he's like, Argyle, you must have heard those gunshots and then it cuts to a shot that he's in the car blasting music.
Yeah, bumping to music.
like where he could have totally not heard the gunshot.
Right, yeah, no, there's some really funny shots with him. And then at the very end, you know, he's able to save the day by crashing into the tech nerd in the ambulance. So yeah, no, he comes back to play a role as well. Everybody is helpful in some way.
And I mean, he's the getaway driver. Like he gets like he drives Holly and Holly and John, away at the end of the movie while the banknotes are slowly descending from the sky like snow.
yeah. No, yeah, Argyle's a great aspect of this movie. Yeah, at the beginning of the movie when he's driving John around, he's very funny and very likable. And they don't overdo it with him. They really like, if they cut to him too much, he could get annoying.
Oh yeah.
But they know like how much is like actually needed, and once they get into like the actual like hostage situation, they don't really cut to Argyle a whole lot.
No.
But like you said, when John's hoping he hears the gunshots and he's bumping the music, like that's funny.
Yeah.
And so well-timed stuff like that it really makes the movie just that much better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I feel like it was a really interesting thing that they never gave John McClane shoes ever.
Yeah.
Like they there was the one scene at the beginning where he's in the airplane and the guy's like giving him advice, like walk around, like take off your shoes and your socks and like walk around and like make fists with your toes. And then he never gets shoes for the rest of the movie. Right,
and that could be like just some throwaway piece of dialogue, but it actually like has real repercussions throughout the whole rest of the movie. This little comment plays a really big role in how John like has to adapt to take on these criminals, because there's a certain point where they notice he's got no shoes and they shoot out glass and he's got to run over it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that reminds me of something I wanted to mention. Like John McClane I think he is the quintessential like action hero.
Oh yeah.
And this is like I mean, for God's sake, like Michael Scott was talking about it in The Office.
Yeah.
He's like, John McClane's the best. He's got a family and he's got real stakes and he's not some crazy super John Wick, I love John Wick, but
Yeah.
like he's not some crazy like over the top action god who can't die, you know.
Yeah,
he's running around.
He's a real guy.
He's a real guy. He's flawed. He's got a weakness. He's got no shoes. He's running around barefoot around this building. And not exactly, you know, taking down guys with ease. It takes him a while to do stuff. So, yeah, and like everybody's said it, but it is totally true and totally valid. That John McClane is just such a great action hero. This movie really checks off the kind of just the three main action check boxes. I mean, you could make an argument there's more, but you need a good, relatable hero with flaws. You need a good, memorable villain who, you know, who feels threatening, and you need good action. And this movie does every single one of those things so well. And
more. It adds so much on top of those three good things that makes this just an over-the-top, amazing, not over the top, but like superior, like good action movie. I mean, this movie I would say is up there with the classics of like
big
some
time,
actions.
Yeah. If movies such as like Mad Max Fury Road hadn't come out, which is just like that's my favorite action movie of all time, but like it's just so over the top that it's like, how could it not be like your favorite? But I mean, this is probably my second favorite action movie of all time, and in just terms of the genre, it's probably the best for doing everything to the best of its ability. Yeah.
For me, action movies really aren't my super big forte. Like I don't watch a lot of like Tom Cruise movies, and like I don't watch a lot of like the big name action films whenever they come out. Mm-hmm. But I do appreciate movies like Die Hard that like have that kind of action but mixed with a bunch of different elements. Like it's funny, it's suspenseful, it's scary at times. Yeah.
And with an action movie, and I guess like you said, like Tom Cruise action movies, like Mission Impossible and stuff, you can run the risk with those movies of making your story too convoluted. Like, oh, we got to stop the bad guy or he's going to destroy the world. It's like this movie, it's got a very simple premise for the most part. There's some little twists and sneaky stuff in there, but the premise is simple enough that it's not going to lose anybody. I lost my train of thought.
I mean, but you could probably argue that happened with this series. Oh. Considering that this movie has, let's see,
5
sequels. Yeah, there's Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Live Free or Die Hard, and A Good Day to Die Hard, which the last one came out in 2013.
Yeah. No, and you're right. That's like the main criticism I've heard with those movies. And that's the other thing I was going to say. Yeah, the threat of the movie is not like, oh, we got to stop him from launching the nukes, or oh, we've got to, stop him. He's going to destroy Los Angeles. They're like bank robbers.
Yeah.
They're thieves, and they actually kind of point that out. What's the name of the wife?
Holly.
Holly is like, you guys are just nothing but like common bank robbers, and he's
he like Rickman, gets all over
in an exceptionally quotable line. He's like, I am an exceptional bank robber, and I do my job well. And he's
and
right.
now that it's turned into a kidnapping, I suggest you be quiet.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of really great lines in this movie, and I wrote some down. Yippie Ki-Yay, MF, that's my favorite. That's the classic. I've got a machine gun, ho ho ho.
Yeah, I mean, I love how they refer to John McClane as like cowboy, and like, and he compares him to like just like John Wayne. And like those other ones.
And he's like, oh, I prefer Roy Rogers.
I'm pretty partial to Roy Rogers myself.
Yeah. There's lines that like just like I don't like. That might not stand out to anybody else, but like I know that like me and like my dad think are funny. Alan Rickman's like, oh, when Ellis is like talking to him, he's like, oh, I must have missed 60 minutes. Like he knows how dumb this guy is, and he's totally like pandering down to him. And then there's one John McClane's like, oh, Sister Teresa called me Mr. McClane in 3rd grade. My friends call me John, and you're neither.
You're neither.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's Christmas, Theo. It's the time of good miracles. One I think that my dad like always quotes when we watch this movie is, "You ask for a miracle, I give you the FBI."
FBI. Like, he says it that slowly.
Yeah, it is such a great line. I love it so much.
Yeah, John McClane has so many good quips, and so does Hans Gruber. Like, they both have, like, maybe Hans Gruber doesn't have as many, like, funny quips, but he's got a lot of memorable dialogue.
He's got a lot of great lines. I mean, it's hard to overstate enough how much I love Hans Gruber. He's such a great movie villain.
Yeah.
And he works perfectly against John McClane. I think that is one of the best parts of the movie, is watching them kind of duke it out. And you see, like, they develop this relationship like he does with Al. He develops this relationship with Hans Gruber, like, over the radio comm, and they're kind of like have this like psychological back and forth going on with each other, even though, like you said, they've never met before.
Yeah. His death is hilarious, though. Hans Gruber's death is so funny. The way, like, because what I mentioned earlier, like, he falls from like the 30th floor of the building to the ground, and you expect like some sort of big reveal or something, like he lands on like explosives or something, or on like a car, but he literally just like falls and hits concrete. You don't see it on screen. It gets like covered by something else in the distance, but it is so funny the way that there's not a lot of music, and he just goes like splat.
Yeah, and all the police officers like, oh, they look away.
Yeah, all the police officers are like, ooh.
Yeah,
bad.
Yeah.
Oh, there was one thing I wanted to mention. I was gonna wait until trivia, but I guess it would probably be a good piece to mention now. This movie was based on a novel.
Was it?
Yeah, it was based on a novel called Nothing Lasts Forever by Richard Thorpe.
Really? Okay.
So, we don't really talk about a lot of like book to movie adaptations. I mean,
not too often. No.
Goodfellas was a book to movie adaptation.
Goodfellas, Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code is a book to movie. Yeah, the one we did forever ago.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Well, I want to say that, like, oh yeah, I knew that, but I'm not sure if I did know that.
I only knew that because like I was like doing research and looking up these things like for trivia and stuff. So I wouldn't have known otherwise. Like if you had just watched the movie, you probably wouldn't know that.
Well, and it's like, how do you? I mean, I was a book first, but like. You think of like an action movie and you're like, how do you put that into a book? Well, so much of it is just watching crazy stuff happen.
Yeah.
Like,
and the novel came out in 1979. So like it's an old book.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. This movie's got a lot to it. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say before we take our last break and go to some trivia?
I think I'm pretty much done with my notes and stuff.
All right. So we're going to take our last break, and then we'll come back for some Die Hard trivia.
All right. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
All right. We're back, and it is trivia time.
Yes. All righty.
How about you go first? I've been going first with these for the last couple times.
Sure, no problem. Okay, so John McClane's stunt double, when they were doing, actually I don't even know if it was a stunt double, but whoever was doing the stunt, they actually messed up the stunt. They biffed it, to say, and it actually made it into the movie. Do you know which stunt it was? It was one done by John McClane.
Oh. See, you say that, and now I'm like, I cannot like remember any biff stunt. Was it something on the roof?
No, it wasn't on the roof.
Oh. Was it like that part where he's fighting with the like long-haired blonde guy, like, and hung him?
No.
I give up.
It was when he's in that elevator shaft, or I guess the like that big heating vent.
Oh, like where he's climbing down with the gun.
With the gun like holding him in there. Yeah. The stunt double was supposed to jump to that first vent and grab it, but he actually missed and fell. But whoever was making it, the producers or the director, thought that it added to the scariness that he missed the first vent, so they actually kept it in.
Yeah.
So that what you see in the movie is a biffed stunt.
I mean, I would tend to agree with that. Like the fact that he misses the first one, and then you're like, oh my God, is he going to fall? And then he gets the second one.
Yeah. So yeah, that definitely like inadvertently made the scene a whole lot scarier.
Yeah. Okay, I won't start mine with my questions just because like I have this one little trivia factoid that I wanted to share before, but I forgot. So we talked about how this was Bruce Willis's big break. Like he wasn't known for anything action before this movie. Mm-hmm. Which is surprising considering this role was offered to a bunch of people. like a bunch of like blockbuster names too, like Sylvester Stallone, Richard Gere, Clint Eastwood, Harrison Ford, Mel Brooks, Paul Newman, James Caan, and Al Pacino, just to name a couple.
Yeah.
This role was offered to so many different people, and like they went with the underdog at the time. At the time, Bruce Willis was an underdog. So I think that's really, really cool.
No, that is really cool. You actually stole my second question.
Did I really?
I've got one more in the back burner. But yeah, I was gonna ask you if you could name even one of the other actors who were considered before Bruce Willis. But well, I think you named every single one of them.
I think maybe there were a couple that I didn't name just for longevity's sake. But the fact that Harrison Ford was on this list was super interesting because I'm like, well, he has like, it's not like it's Harrison Ford's got a lot of action movies, but like the one that comes to mind that's like the most related to this to Die Hard is like The Fugitive.
Yeah.
Like in that kind of in the same vein, but yeah.
Apparently Frank Sinatra was even approached.
You took one of my questions.
Oh no! Did I? Oh no!
Yeah, I was gonna. The casting department was contractually obligated to offer the role of John McClane to Frank Sinatra.
Really, it was contractually obligated.
Maybe I can turn that into a trivia question. You do your next one, and then we'll come back to me.
We're really self-sabotaging over here.
Yeah, we really are. We're self-sabotaging.
Okay, true or false? Alan Rickman was dropped accidentally when filming his final scene at the end of the movie. When
dropped accidentally?
True or false? When he's hanging on, obviously he's not on a giant building, but he's got to fall down quite a ways onto like a pad. And so when he was filming that stunt, which he did himself, true or false? Was he dropped accidentally?
Let's go with true.
It's actually false.
Oh, dang
and
it.
I'm sorry because I'm being a little bit of a little... I'm being a little bit tricky with it. So it wasn't an accident. But they did drop Alan Rickman before he thought he was being dropped.
Oh.
So the director, in order to get a genuine reaction out of him, I don't know what they would have done on set. They would have been like, take...
On the count of three, one...
Yeah, take 1, 3, 2. And then they dropped him before they'd finished counting down.
Just to get his face.
Just to get his face. So that reaction that he has is genuine. It's genuine shock because he wasn't expecting it at that time.
Because I'm pretty sure also that final scene, or actually it might not be that one. There was one scene with Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman that was like not scripted or like was supposed to like not be scripted because they wanted it to be like a genuine reaction or like a genuine interaction.
Okay.
So... we'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you kind of took a little bit of mine. So Frank Sinatra, the casting department was contractually obligated to offer the role to Frank Sinatra before they offered it to any other person. Why? Just shot in the dark. Just a wild guess because it is crazy.
Because. I'm joking. This is just a joke. This is just a podcast. But was there like... I'm going to guess that the mafia... I'm going to guess the mafia.
The mafia wanted him in this movie. Actually, no. It's related to the fact that this movie was based on a novel.
Oh.
So this is like the sequel to a novel called The Detective. Mm-hmm. And The Detective was also turned into a movie that stars Frank Sinatra.
Oh,
so
okay.
So The Detective is also a movie. So when they adapted the sequel to be a movie, they wanted to see if Frank Sinatra would want to do it first. However, he was 70 at the time of doing this.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he would have been, spry enough to be crawling through air vents and
stuff
like that.
One would think. Yeah, one would think. Although freaking Harrison Ford is still making Indiana Jones 5. So
yeah, honestly.
We'll see. We'll see.
That man is a beast.
Yeah. No, he is. He is for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm out.
Oh, okay. I've got one more.
Okay.
How many undershirts did the costume department make for John McClane for this movie?
That is a good question. I was noticing that in the movie. I'm like, wow, that shirt started out white and it is brown now.
It is brown and like the neckline is down here.
Yeah.
Like, it's down to his like stomach.
I'll say they went through like a box of like 50 or something.
That's a bit too high. They made 17.
Okay.
And that was like for each iteration of like how bad it's getting. Like, like when you said it started white, then it like started degrading further and further.
Yeah.
And apparently it went through 17 iterations throughout the movie.
Wow.
And just a little bonus, I'm pretty sure it's the last iteration that Bruce Willis was wearing, but he donated that undershirt to the Smithsonian Museum.
Oh my. Wow. All right.
It's a national treasure. This movie is a national treasure.
Yeah. Think of the head of the museum as like, oh, the intern comes in and they're like, oh, Bruce Willis just donated his dirty, sweaty shirt from Die Hard.
Oh my God, imagine how bad it
what
smells.
What are you supposed to say to that?
Yeah, what are you supposed to say? Like, they're like trying to put it on a model and they're like, oh, maybe we should leave this in the bag.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, super interesting. I mean, this movie, what I was talking about earlier with the fact that, like, this movie was, like, deemed good by the United States Library of Congress. It was selected for preservation by the National Film Registry.
It was deemed good.
Well, no, I was trying to, like... I was paraphrasing what I said earlier.
I got you.
So, like, they deemed it culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant.
Got you, okay.
That was what and I didn't want to repeat that.
I got you.
Deemed good.
We have declared Die Hard good.
His only other adjective is just good.
Gotcha,
Okay, I'm
right.
out of questions. Do you want to go to final reviews?
Sure, yeah.
All right.
I can start with this one.
All right, sounds good.
I absolutely love Die Hard. It is one of the best action movies of all time, and it is considered that for a legitimately good reason. It hits every single check. You could say it created the checkmark list for what a good action movie needs. Not that to say there was never a good action movie before Die Hard, but it really kind of set the standard for, like, you need to have these things in order to be great. And it succeeds. It passes with flying colors. John Kramer. I was gonna say John Kramer.
John Kramer?
John McClane.
Still got Saw in the mind.
Is, I guess, yeah.
Always.
He's a great action movie hero. He's awesome in this movie. He's relatable. He's got flaws, but at the end of the day, he saves everybody, and he's the giant action hero.
Yeah.
And we love him. And Alan Rickman's Hans Gruber he's genuinely, like, one of my favorite movie villains, like, of all time. He's just awesome. He's got such a suave, droll, dry sense about him, and it really elevates what would otherwise just be, the bad German terrorist, into something really memorable, something that you're going to remember for a long time after this movie is passed. Mm-hmm. So you got that, you have the great action, you got great human moments between the cast. This is just an awesome movie. I absolutely adore it. It is a Christmas movie, and heck with anybody who thinks it's not. I will fight you tooth and nail on this. I've honestly thought about making a YouTube video, like, analysis breaking down why this is a Christmas movie. That is how, like,
yes.
That is how, like, deep I am into this. But yeah, no, I love it, and I give this a 9 out of 10.
Nice. Okay, so my review. I really enjoyed this movie. I thoroughly enjoyed watching. This movie is very long. Like, it's a big one. It's about it's about 2 hours and 15 minutes. But I don't feel like I felt a moment of that runtime. It was kept me engaged from start to finish. Kind of like what you said, the cast feels very human. The sets are amazing. The action is compelling. Everything you got a human protagonist in John McClane. You've got a very convincing and frankly scary villain in Hans Gruber. And there's just so many great elements of a good action movie in this film. And like I said before, I'm not a huge one for action movies. Like, this, I could definitely pick genres that I enjoy more than action films. But this one I thoroughly enjoyed, and I do agree that this is a Christmas movie, and I would want to watch this every Christmas season. So I'm going to follow what you said and also give it a 9 out of 10, because I don't know if I would say that it's like perfect, like in every way. Like,
no.
I can't. Although, I mean, I just can't pinpoint anything that I would find.
The cops are a bit too dumb for me in certain.
Yeah.
And then there's a very, very nitpick where it's like, how do they not know what
Tagaki
looks like?
Yeah.
It's very tiny little nitpicks.
Yeah, it's like the only flaws that you could find, like when you like super nitpick.
I suppose you could make an argument that like, oh, why did John McClane not shoot Hans Gruber the minute that he saw him? But then, like you said,
he didn't know what he looks like.
But he clearly knew enough to not give him a loaded gun. He clearly knew,
or at least he was like this. Maybe this guy isn't Hans Gruber, but he could still be one of the terrorists.
That's true. So I suppose there it's like whatever. And I suppose it's a little bit unfair as, like you said, the omniscient, viewer.
Yeah.
To really like say what you would do in that circumstance. So I suppose that's not really a critique either. But.
Yeah, you can only really find, at least for us two, the critiques of this movie are just basically nitpicks.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm giving mine a solid 9 out of 10.
All right.
So if you're still listening, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you so much. There will be some more content coming up on our YouTube within the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Just some little things to tide you over until we're back with live episodes.
Yeah, we'll be doing some housekeeping over this winter break. So, yep.
So
make sure you follow us on Letterboxd as well. Go, yeah. We have our reviews up there. And I feel like I've forgotten to mention this a few more times, but if you ever want to leave us a question on any of our socials, we'll answer it on this show.
Yeah.
If you ever want to ask us a question about our taste in movies or about a movie that we have for the week or something, feel free to let us know. We'd love to start a little kind of back and forth with some people that listen to our show.
Yeah.
So.
Or even just questions about anything. You could ask us like anything about our lives or like any like cool discussion questions we could have.
Yeah.
We always have fun with those.
Mm-hmm,
so
100%.
Yeah. So with that, I think we're going to sign off for the night. And Jack, do you have anything else?
I think that wraps up season 2 of Ravings and Reviews.
Season 2 of Ravings and Reviews. Have a good night, everybody. We will see you all in January.
All right.
Happy holidays, Happy New Year, everything in between.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.